I'm Craig Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And today we're going to be talking about punishing yourself for your mistakes.
Very common after a breakup.
Oh my gosh, it is the worst feeling. When you feel like your relationship ended because of your mistakes or something that you did, it feels awful. And the amount of guilt you're overwhelmed with is it just consumes you.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's a horrible feeling to think, oh my gosh, this person doesn't want to be in my life anymore because I did this, I was selfish, I ignored them, or whatever it was that you did.
And realizing that you hurt somebody you love is really hard to deal with. And of course, there is a natural level of guilt when you realize some of your mistakes. It's a healthy emotion, actually, that your body's telling you, okay, you did something wrong and you could have done better. But some people experience a disproportionate level of guilt, especially after the consequence is losing somebody that you care about. And so today we're going to talk about punishing yourself for a mistake that you might have made. And we're going to talk about some things that you can do to better manage this really difficult emotion.
Yeah, because when you're re-evaluating your relationship after the breakup, you're probably thinking about things that were neglectful, complaints that your partner had that you didn't listen to,
Right.
Things that you wish you had done better. Maybe you reacted emotionally in certain things or didn't make changes to their requests for needs or something, something like that. And so it can get overwhelming and you start to realize that your actions, your choices led to the breakup in some ways. Now, of course, your ex probably made mistakes too and did things that bothered you too, but you can only control yourself.
Exactly. And that's important to remember, that there's two sides to every story and that it's a dynamic. If you go to couples therapy, oftentimes the couples therapist will tell you it's us versus the problem, not you versus me. And I say that for most problems. Of course, there's issues of abuse and other things that are exceptions to that. But for the most part, they will try to externalize the issue. And so I say this to give you a little bit of perspective, because sometimes when we are punishing ourselves and beating ourselves up for mistakes, our brain can go to extremes. It's all my fault. I ruined everything. I'm the one to blame. I messed this up. When in reality, if you take into consideration all of the factors, your ex likely had some contributing moments.
Absolutely. They may have said things or done things that hurt you, that you decided to maybe stonewall them or be angry at them or lash out at them. It's not like that we're not connected in this situation. But yeah, sometimes we don't handle ourselves well after something happens in a relationship.
Exactly. And next is the what ifs. Our brain can really start to think about all the different scenarios that could have happened, how you could have handled the situation differently, or if you would have worded something differently even, or had given somebody more space, or had been more attentive. Our brain likes to obsess over these things and think them over and over and over again to gain some sort of sense of control, but in reality, it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah. We feel like if we know the information, then we can completely fix it or repair it.
Exactly. And ultimately, you don't know what you don't know. I know now, especially many of you learning a lot about yourselves on this channel, working through a lot of your own personal issues, you're realizing as you continue to learn how many more mistakes that you have done that you were blind to before. And that can have you kicking yourself, thinking, oh, I should have known this before. Why didn't I know this? It's all part of the growth process. Look at how far that you've come and remind yourself of where you started. Maybe this right here, this moment, this breakup is the epiphany you need to continue progressing.
I really believe that breakups will have people change their life. I truly do. And in many ways, a breakup can be the best thing that ever happened to you.
Yeah.
It can be one of the most painful things that ever happened to you, but it makes you the most motivated that you've ever been. And people tell me that all the time. I've never felt this motivated to change or to work through my issues or, to be a better person until I've gone through this. And now I realize what's truly important to me.
Exactly.
You know?
And oftentimes a breakup is just a manifestation of existing issues in the relationship. And so it really brings to light everything that hasn't been working. And so with talking about guilt, you also are robbing yourself of opportunities if you do focus on the guilt instead of focusing on what you want. And so sometimes we can think that we deserve less because we've made mistakes. And this is really where the punishing ourselves comes into play. We don't deserve to find somebody that loves us. We don't deserve to be invested in. We don't deserve a second chance with our ex or with anybody else. And those things are just simply not true. No, you're a worthy person. We all make mistakes, and those mistakes don't define you at the end of the day.
That's right. That's right. And, one of the things that somebody pointed out that Margaret said was that it's not a sin to make a mistake. It's a sin to not to correct it. And so it's okay to make mistakes, but you have to act like an adult and own up to it and do something different. Really look at the issue and act like a mature, healthy adult would do.
And oftentimes we can attribute meanings to our mistakes. We might think to ourselves, I'm a bad person, or I can't keep a relationship. I'm not capable of this. And so those thoughts can really be hurtful just because they're not true. You're going to an extreme from something that you did when there's always potential, there's always hope. And so we want you to remember that, and it's much easier said than done.
Absolutely. I have heard a lot of people say that over the years. I'm bad in relationships. That's a big one. People believe I'm bad in relationships. Okay, well, if that's true, what can you do to fix that? How can you fix that? Where do you struggle? What can you improve upon?
Right.
If you can focus on that you can change, right? You may feel like you don't deserve another chance with your ex. You've messed up too bad. But we all make mistakes, and our mistakes don't have to define who we are or make us a bad person and feel like I screwed it up with so-and-so, so now I should be alone forever, right? Like, your ex made mistakes too, and the people they dated before them made mistakes, right? And the people that you've dated have made mistakes. Nobody's perfect. We're all going to do things that are hurtful or upsetting to our partners, but you've got to do your best to find a way to focus on the positive, focus on the changes, and understand that it's okay to make mistakes, right? You can't beat yourself up forever because of these mistakes. You have to show some compassion to yourself, right? Like if your ex came to you and said, well, I made all these horrible mistakes and this, that, the other, you'd probably say, no, I mean, it's okay that you did those things. You'd show them some compassion, right? Is my point. So you have to show compassion to yourself.
Exactly. And also positive self-talk can go a far way. I know Margaret always talked about this.
The critical inner voice.
Yes. And on that same note, think about how your upbringing has affected your level of guilt. When we grow up in a very critical household and our decisions are scrutinized and every mistake is blown out of proportion, that can cause us to feel a lot more guilt than is necessary even as an adult. And so really evaluate those childhood experiences. Where is this guilt feeling coming from? And I bet you that showing yourself the compassion that you wish that you would have gotten as a kid will be extremely healing for you.
Absolutely. What would you tell the 5-year-old version of you who spilled the milk and got screamed at because of it? Right? Like, how many times have we heard Margaret talk about stories like that over the years where kids that were very small would make a mistake and the parents were still bringing up a loaf of bread or spilled milk 30 years later. Right? So if you're hearing those things from your parents when you're 3 or 2 years old or somebody, you're small, imagine what you've internalized from them all these years. You have to be aware of how that voice has almost become your voice and challenge it and look at it and say, okay, that's my mom talking or that's my dad talking. And I don't have to beat myself up all the time. It's not going to do you any good anyway.
Right.
Right?
Exactly. And the best is if you can evolve your guilt into taking accountability. And that's really important because sometimes we can get caught up in, oh my gosh, I hurt you, I'm so sorry, I hurt you, I'm so sorry, I hurt you, rather than saying, okay, I understand how you feel. How can I fix this? How can I make this better? What can I do to make sure this doesn't happen again? And there's going to be mistakes again in the future, yes. And you can also work hard to become a better person, learn through it.
That's right. The more you stay focused on the personal development, becoming enlightened and insightful into how relationships operate, how to be a good partner, and you work on all those things, the more likely your ex comes back and they're blown away, or the next person you date is blown away.
Exactly.
And because we're a lot more likely to make those mistakes with the people we really like and get attached to. So you got to really work on it in no contact. This is where you're going to be the most motivated. Okay? If you start talking with your ex again, you're likely going to regress and go right back to a lot of those mistakes unless you've really worked through the issues. Okay?
Exactly.
I see it all the time. Trust me. Use no contact to stay committed to yourself and being the best version of yourself. It's a win-win no matter what happens.
Exactly.
Okay? All right. So hopefully you found this one helpful. If you want to get our help personally, you can do it on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. And of course, Victoria is available for Skype coaching.
I'm here if you need to talk.
Just click on Victoria on the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.